but it didn't really freak me out. I was going to set up a game of Risk for us all to play while Katie was out, as the drive to the closest market was well over a couple miles out. So, Elijah and I sat poolside, telling stories to each other about stupid stuff that happened while we were in college. During our talk, I was staring out in the forest line, paranoid about the wolves that Neil teased me about. I saw something move. I couldn't tell since the porch light behind me was making it harder to see any details, but the way it moved made my heart jump. Elijah could see my body language as he leaned in to see what was there. He started to ask me what I saw, and I replied with a wolf on the tree line. He looked toward where I pointed, and he calmed down. "That's just Katie, dude. I think she was trying to scare us." He started calling her name, waving his arm and laughing, saying how she scared the hell out of me. Neil came out of the house, wondering what Elijah was screaming about. Then he saw his sister standing in the field. He started to laugh when Elijah told him what happened and how I was on the edge of my seat. JD came out of the house next, and Neil told him to help Katie with the bags and grab the fireworks. Katie, who was out in the field, started to wave back, but the wave definitely seemed out of place. It wasn't so much waving, but a sudden jerk, like if you were trying to pop your elbow. Elijah yelled for Katie to come back so we can start the party, but JD came back with a terrified look on his face. "Katie's not back yet. I just called her. She's still on the road towards Walmart." Their laughing stopped, and Elijah's face faded, and his arm fell into his lap with a thud. Everyone looked at the still jerking figure in the field. Then, she screamed. The scream was so loud, it sounded like it may as well have been a couple feet away. All of us scrambled, running back into the house. Slamming the door behind us, Neil shouted for us to lock the doors and grab the shotgun in the living room. I ran to grab the shotgun, as it was the closest thing to us, while the other two ran to each of the doors leading inside. Quickly, I grabbed the shotgun and stuffed a couple of shells in my pocket, running back to the kitchen, where we came in from, and handed the shotgun to Neil. I pulled out the shells and sat them on the counter, and he loaded one in. JD came back nearly covered in sweat, freaking out and shouted,
The Rising of the Shield Hero. That's right, it's a new series, because I really wanted to read something, and this looked interesting, so I thought I would read it and record it as well. Yep, Volume 1, Chapter 1, Royal Road Summoned. I had come to the town library to hang out and read some books. Wait, that's a terrible place to start. I haven't even introduced myself yet. The name's Iwatani Naofumi, college sophomore, and I'm what most people would call an otaku. I wasn't always this way, but after I was introduced to video games, anime, and otaku culture, there's no way I could ever go back to caring about something as boring as studying. Once my parents realized I was a lost cause, they decided to focus their efforts on my little brother instead, forcing him into some big-name cram school to ensure his future. Unfortunately, I think that he must have cracked from the pressure of living up to their expectations and preparing for entrance exams, since he ended up dyeing his hair blonde and talking like a punk. It was really a dark time for our family. But then, a savior appeared. Me! I approached my dear, foul-tempered little brother and told him to play a certain mega-popular dating sim. You fucking with me or something? Get the fuck out of here. Jeez, just trust me and play it, okay? I knew the real reason my little brother went mad. It's because unlike me, who got everything I ever wanted growing up, he was forced to do nothing but study day in and day out. He desperately needed an outlet for his frustration, and when a relaxation specialist like me makes a recommendation, well, even my brother couldn't help to have his interest piqued. To make a long story short, the world gained another otaku. Since then, my brother's room has been totally transformed, filled to the brim with merch from the dating sim I recommended. On top of that, with his stress gone, he managed to pass all his exams and get into super prestigious high school. I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't a little bit irritating. On the plus side, thanks to my efforts, my parents lightened up on me, and I was finally able to enjoy a carefree college life. I guess you could call me the black sheep of the Iwatani family. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right, the library. My parents had already given me the monthly allowance of 10,000 yen, which I converted directly into light novels, manga, and porn. I made another 50,000 yen a month from my part-time job, but because the summer and winter comiket, all the various local festivals, that didn't go very far either. In fact, I was looking like I was probably going to have to crash at my parents' house again for a while. Still, I was able to live the way I liked, so I couldn't really ask for more. As far as I was concerned, just having my tuition and food expenses covered was more than enough. That didn't change the fact that I was dead broke, though, so in interests of frugality. Yeah, frugal. I think that means being cheap. I was passing the time reading random books in used bookstores and libraries. I briefly considered getting back into the online game I've been playing recently. I don't know why I hesitated there. But doing that would mean resigning myself to an infinite time sink. See, I'm the kind of guy that values breadth over depth. Rather than racing for the level cap like most people, I preferred to spend all my playtime leisurely making money. In fact, I had characters selling rare items in the in-game marketplace at that very moment. Unfortunately, that meant the real-life me had more free time than he knew what to do with, which is where the library came in. It happened when I was scanning over the section dedicated to dedicated to old fantasy novels. You might not realize this, but fantasy is as old as humanity itself. Even the Bible is basically a fantasy novel when you get right down to it. The Weapons of the Four Saints. For some reason, a worn-out old book with nearly illegible title suddenly fell off the shelf. Maybe the last person that looked at it had been careless when they put it back, or maybe it was fate. At any rate, I sat down in a chair and started reading. Flip, flip, flip. Apparently, it was one of those books that starts by going over the setting in excruciating detail. There was a lot to take in, but the gist of it was a prophecy foretold the end of the world. According to the prophecy, the world would be destroyed by wave after wave of disasters. In order to avert the calamity, the people called out for heroes from another world to save them. It's a pretty cliched plot, but I guess I can't expect too much from an antique. It must have seemed pretty fresh back in the day. 4 heroes were summoned, wielding 4 weapons: sword, spear, bow, and shield. What? A shield isn't even a weapon. It's armor! I laughed wryly, but kept on reading. In the end, the heroes set out on a journey to gain strength and polish their skills in order to fight the wave of calamity. Yawn. A wave of sleepiness washed over me. Seriously, would it have killed them to add a cute girl or two to keep the reader's interest? I mean, technically there was a princess, but she seemed like a total bitch. The way she toadied up to all the heroes was totally disgusting. Like, just pick a guy and stick with him, right? Oh, well, at least there was a decent enough cast of characters. The dashing sword hero and the thoughtful spear hero. The Robin Hood-esque bow hero, working to topple a current kingdom. But when the story turns its attention toward the shield hero... Huh? I inadvertently let out a gasp as I flipped through the pages. Everything after the page about the shield hero was completely blank. No matter how many times I looked, there was nothing there. What the hell is this? Before I knew what was happening, my vision grew dim and my consciousness began to fade. Even in my wildest dreams, I never could have imagined that, just like that, I'd end up in another world. Yeah, boy! Going to another world! Man, these stories are everywhere. But... I still kind of enjoy them. And I like this guy's personality, and the style of the whole book, at least from written in this first chapter, is making me really enjoy this. So, I'm gonna have a lot of fun, and I'm gonna read the next chapter, and that'll be uploaded tomorrow. Stick around, keep watching, read with me if you want. I don't know, this is fun though, I like this one. I like this first chapter. Rising of the Shield Hero, Volume 1, Chapter 2, Brave Introduction. Oh. I woke to the sound of murmuring voices. For some reason, a bunch of guys in robes were staring right at me. What the? I shifted my attention towards this new voice, and I realized I was surrounded by 3 guys who were apparently in the same situation as me. I tilted my head in confusion. What the hell was going on? Wasn't I just in a library? No matter what direction I looked, massive stone walls loomed over me. Or maybe they were brick. I couldn't tell. At any rate, I'd definitely never been in a building like this before in my entire life. Beneath me was an altar with a strange pattern drawn in glowing paint. Drawn on in glowing paint. Drawn on it in whatever. It looked like a magic circle you'd see in an anime or something. Wait, more importantly, when did I get a shield? It was strangely light, and almost felt like it was clinging to my arm. This was too weird. I tried to drop it, but no matter what... Oh, that's... no matter what I did, I refused to come off. It refused to come off. Jesus fucking... So are you guys going to tell us where we are? The guy with the sword called out to the robed men, and in response, "Oh, honorable heroes, please save our world!" Huh? We all replied in unison. What do you mean by that? This way this conversation was headed felt strangely familiar, like something I might have read before in a web novel, maybe. I said that so weird. You must have many questions, but time is short. You are the chosen heroes, summoned here by an ancient ritual. Summoned? Right, okay. Obviously, I couldn't wrap my head around that one, but I figured it was probably best to just go along with it and hear him out. Currently, this world is teetering on the edge of destruction. We pray of you. Please lend us your power. The robed man bowed. Man, so much talking. This sucks, right? Can we go now? The other three people summoned here with me spoke up, interrupting my efforts to smoothly progress the conversation. And not only that, to answer in such a way. Listening to people when they were talking to you was just basic manners. As if they could hear my silent rebuke, all three of them turned to face me. For some reason, they were smirking. It almost seemed like they were enjoying themselves. I mean, if this was actually real and we had really been transported to another world, well, I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel like a dream come true, but that was all the more reason to pay attention, right? Don't you guys have any shame at all suddenly dragging us here without our permission? The guy with the sword, he looked to be in his late teens, brandished his weapon. Even if you send us home when the job is done, that's basically just using us as slave labor, you know? The guy with the bow voiced his agreement with a glare. You get where we're coming from, right? Keep in mind that depending on your answer, we might have to become your enemies. I could sympathize with what they were saying. It was our right to confirm our situation and whether or not we'd be rewarded for our efforts. Still, to raise their weapons like that, these guys had some serious balls. Somehow I was starting to feel outclassed. That please, at least have an audience with the king before you do anything rash. You can discuss the details of your compensation there. One of the robed men opened the heavy-looking door and gestured us inside. Well, I guess that's that. Seems like it. Though talk is talk, even if it's a king. With that, the other three guys headed toward the exit. I followed behind them so as not to be left behind. Compared to the dark room we'd started out in, the stone hallway was bright and lively. The air here smelled sweet. I wasn't really sure how else to describe it. On top of that, the scenery we could see through the rows of windows lining the walls was positively breathtaking. Clear blue sky, far as the eye could see, hung over a townscape straight from medieval Europe. However, we didn't have long to marvel at the spectacle before we were ushered throughout the hall into a large audience chamber. Oh, so these are the heroes of old. A self-important old man was looking down at us with an appraising gaze. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something about him made me uneasy. If I had to guess, it was his eyes. There's no way I could ever like somebody that looked at other people like that. I am the king of this country. Oltkray Melromak, this 32nd. Raise your heads, heroes. I resisted the urge to point out that none of us had our heads lowered. I wasn't an expert on courtly manner, but at the very least I knew better than to talk back to a king. No, I shall explain the current situation. This country, nay, the very world is on the path to ruin. Basically, it was like this. Prophecy existed which persisted to the end of days. It spoke of wave after wave of calamity which would beset the lands. If nothing was done, the world itself would fall into ruin. Kinda knew that already. And the year of the prophecy had finally come. The sands of the ancient dragon's hourglass had begun to run once more. According to legend, the dragon's hourglass was supposed to serve as a monthly warning system for the wave of calamity. At first, people had written it off as a mere superstition. However, disaster struck the instant the final grain of sand fell, just as the legend said. A dimensional fissure appeared over Melromark, and a vast horde of monsters spilled out from within. Through the country's knights, though the country's knights and adventurers just barely managed to subdue them, the next wave was expected to be even stronger. There was no way they would be able to stop the calamity a second time, and so the leaders of the country decided to enact the ancient summoning of heroes in hopes that they might be saved. By the way, our ability to communicate with the people of this world was apparently a boon granted by the legendary weapons we all held. Good explanation for the language barrier. Uh-huh, so you expect us to work for free then? That's sure convenient for you. It really is selfish, you know, dragging us into a problem that doesn't have anything to do with us. Judging from the way they were smiling earlier, they obviously weren't really upset, so why are they speaking so brazenly? It was probably time for me to speak up and smooth things over. Well, it's true that we have no obligation to help you, and suppose we do save the world, only to get sent home empty-handed after our hard work. Nobody would take a risk like that unrewarded. Ugh. The king shot a glance toward one of his retainers. Of course, it goes without saying that we were planning to richly compensate you for your efforts. The four of us clenched our fists excitedly. All right, that was more like it. Besides that, we could also prepare discretionary funds to support you on your journey. It's a small price to pay to ensure your cooperation in saving our world. Oh, well, as long as you make it a promise. Don't think that means you owe us, though. We're just cooperating for as long as you stay on our good side. That's right. Yeah. Jeez, again with the condescending attitude. Making an enemy out of this country was the absolute worst thing we could do right now. If that happened, the little progress we made in this negotiation so far would totally fall apart. Now then, heroes, tell me your names. And you get a nice little picture there. Yay. What does he got? I don't know, people. That's when I realized all this was just like the book that I... What? Seriously, kid? That's when you realize it? Oh, God. He should have realized it the second he had a shield on his... Oh, my God, this idiot. I hope he's not this stupid, the whole thing. All of this was just like the book I had been reading earlier. Sword, spear, bow, and shield. It couldn't be a coincidence that the weapons were the same. As unbelievable as it seemed, could we have somehow ended up in the world of that book? While I was wrapped up in my own thoughts, the others began their introductions. My name is Amaki Ren, age 16. I'm a high schooler. The sword hero, Amaki Ren, a total pretty boy. He started at petite 165 centimeters, roughly, with delicate, sincere features. In fact, he was so pretty you might even mistake him for a girl if he dressed up in drag. His hair was short with brown streaks, with long slitted eyes and light skin. He was the very image of cool, slender swordsman. I'll go next, then. The name's Kitamura Motoyasu. That's a fun name. College student, 21. The spear hero, Kitamura Motsuyasu. You know, an easygoing older brother type. Though his features were more traditional, he was easily on par with Ren in the looks department. If you told me he's dated 2 girls at the same time before, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Even his hair was chic, tied back into a long ponytail. It was a feminine cut, but somehow he made it work. All in all, it seemed like a helpful, reliable guy. Oh, me now. My name is Kawasumi Itsuki. I'm a 17-year-old high school student. The bow hero, Kawasumi Itsuki. A mature youth with the air of a pianist. There was a fragility about him, yet at the same time an unshakable strength. Honestly, it was hard to get a read on him. He had nice hair, though, wavy, with a bit of a perm. He seemed nice enough for the quiet little brother type. I couldn't help but be thankful everybody was Japanese. Not that I had anything against foreigners, mind you. It just would have been a little shocking to see one here. Crap, was it my turn already? Oh, sorry, guess I'm last. The name's Iwatani Naofumi, and I'm a 20-year-old college student. The king stared at me, contempt in his eyes. A chill ran down my spines. Ren, Motoyasu, and Itsuki, eh? Your Majesty, what about me? Oh, my sincerest apologies, Naofumi. The old guy was unbelievable. It was already glaringly apparent that I was the odd man out here, but he didn't have to rub it in like that. Now, if everybody could please confirm their statuses. Huh? Status? What the heck was a status? How do we do that exactly? Itsuki timidly asked for the king for help, but at least he seemed to have some inkling inkling of what they were talking about. I was completely lost. No, he is an idiot. What, you guys didn't notice it the moment you got here? Ren seemed genuinely shocked that we could be so ignorant. This smug, know-it-all look on his face was totally irritating. There's a sort of icon in your peripheral vision, right? He was right. I hadn't noticed it before, but there was a really strange mark floating there. Just focus your consciousness on that. Focus my consciousness? I still didn't really get it, but I tried it out anyway. Ping! The icon suddenly expanded into a browser-like window that filled my entire field of vision. Iwatani Naofumi, Class Shield Hero Level 1, Equipment Small Shield, Legendary Weapon, Otherworldly Clothing, Skills None, Magic None. Within it, the various data presented was in easy-to-digest manner, so this was a status, huh? It was like something out of a game. I'm only level 1? What a pain in the ass. Yeah, can we really fight like this? More importantly, what the heck is this? Do you not have status magic in your world, heroes? Here, it is something that anybody can use. No kidding. No kidding? Whatever. Apparently, the ability to quantify and observe their actual physical parameters was considered normal in this world. Anyway, what should we do from here on out? Being such a low level is making me uneasy. About that. We would like you to go on a journey to polish your skills and strengthen your legendary weapons. Strengthen our weapons? They're legendary, right? Shouldn't they be strong from the start? I am simply relating the contents of the legend. It is written that the summoned heroes will grow and strengthen their legendary weapons. Again with the legends. So can we at least use something else until these things are strong enough to be useful? Motoyasu spoke up, twirling his spear absent-mindedly. He had a point, after all. My weapon wasn't even a weapon. It was a shield. Obviously, I would need something else to survive. We can worry about that later. For now, we should just focus on getting stronger like they asked. Being summoned as a hero in another world, I was overflowing with things I wanted to try. I mean, come on, there was no way I wouldn't be fired up in a situation like this. The others must have felt the same way, I was sure of it. Well then, should the four of us party up? Wait just a moment, heroes. The minister stopped us as we were preparing to head out on our journey. The four of us are going, the four of you are The four of you are to gather companions individually, then set off on your own separate journeys. Oh, and why is that? It's quite simple. According to legend, the weapons you carry naturally repel each other. Should you operate together as a group, you will do nothing but impede each other's growth. I'm not sure I get it, but basically you're saying we can't get strong unless we work alone? Some sort of help message has suddenly appeared over my shield. Caution. Working together with your fellow legendary weapon holders will be detrimental to your progress. Please try to operate separately as much as possible. Looks like it's the real deal. What was that game-like explanation, though? It's like we had really fallen into the world of a game. At any rate, it was nice to know that the legendary weapons came with a user's manual. I would have to make time to read it through all later. Read through it all later. I don't know why that sentence killed me. So then, we need to gather companions, I guess. On the contrary, we will gather companions for you, the best of the best. Have no worries. However, the day grows late. For now, rest yourselves and gather your strength. Your journey begins tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Leaving behind the words of gratitude, we relocated to the guest quarters prepared for us by the king. That was a long chapter. I get the feeling that they are going to vary in length, just because the first one was like 5 minutes, and this one is not. The Rising of the Shield Hero, Volume 1, Chapter 3, Brave Consultation. Once we arrived in the guest quarters, we sprawled out on the extravagant beds that had been prepared for us, and went to work studying for the help menu for our weapons. At some point, the sun completely disappeared below the horizon, but I was so absorbed in reading that I didn't even notice. On the plus side, I was able to find out a lot of useful information. Apparently, the legendary weapons were almighty tools that didn't require maintenance. On top of that, if their owner diligently leveled up and fused materials into it, the new forms would unlock, which were recorded in something called the Weapon Book. It sounded interesting, so I decided to try pulling it up. Swoosh! The screen that appeared was filled with icons that extended well beyond its borders, all marked as locked. Amazing. It looked like I could develop my legendary weapon through various branching paths. It was just like a skill tree from an online game, and in order to learn skills, I needed to unlock the powers sleeping in the weapons. Man, this is just like a game, don't you think? I spoke up suddenly, but others weren't really paying attention. They were probably looking through the help menu too. What are you talking about? This isn't just like a game, it is a game. I'm pretty sure I've played it before. Motoyasu boasted. Yeah, it's really popular. You haven't played it? No, I'm a pretty big otaku myself, and I've never played anything like this. Seriously? It's Emerald Online. I never even heard of that. Huh? Are you really a gamer? It's super famous. Sorry, the only really big online games I know about are Odin Online and Fantasy Moon Online. What? And why is it all gotta be online? What the heck are those? That's the first I've heard of them. What are you talking about? This world isn't an online game at all. It's from a console game. Wait, that can't be right. Isn't this a VR MMO? Huh? Even assuming we've entered the world of an online game, that's still something you play with a mouse or controller, right? Ren tilted his head in confusion at Motoyasu's question. Mouse? Controller? What are you talking about, antiques? Aren't all the online games these days VR MMOs? Did you hit your head or something? Those kind of games only exist in science fiction. What? I get it already. Ren objected loudly. Thinking about it, he was the first person to notice the status magic, wasn't he? I got the impression that he's already used to it somehow. Itsuki raised his hand. Everybody, what game world do you think this is exactly? Bravestar Online. Emerald Online. I didn't know there was a game like this. While I currently thought the world seemed gamish, it didn't remind me of any game in particular. I see. By the way, it looks to me like the World of Dimension Wave, a console game. For some reason, none of us had ever heard of any of the others' games. Wait, we can sort this out. Motoyasu touched his hand to his forehead and tried to grip on the situation. Ren, according to you, this is a VR MMO, right? That's right. And Itsuki and Naofumi, you understand what he means by that. It's a term I've seen once in science fiction games before, yeah. I've read a few light novels about them. Okay, same here. Then, Ren, this Brave Star Online you mentioned, it's a VR MMO? Yeah, I used to play it all the time. The way the world works really resembles the system it uses. Based on what Ren was saying, he came from a world where the technology to dive into virtual realities was commonplace. So, do any of the games we've mentioned exist in your world's past? Ren shook his head. I've considered myself something of a gaming history buff, and I've never heard of any of them. Are you sure they're famous? Motoyasu and I both nodded. If he really was an expert on online games, it would be strange for him to have such a glaring gap in his knowledge. And while it was possible that the problem was on our side, you'd think at least one of us would be able to name a game that was actually popular. Then how about a question based on common knowledge? Like the name of the current Prime Minister, for example. Ah, everybody nodded in agreement. Okay, all together now. Yura Masoro, Yawara Kotaro no, Koraku Enichi, Ichi Fuji Shigeno. Fucking Japanese names. Nothing. I didn't recognize any of the names from history class. After that, we compared various topics ranging from popular net slang to famous websites, but the results was always the same. We couldn't seem to agree on anything. Looks like we're all from totally different Japans, huh? Yeah, no matter how you look at it, there's no way we all came from the same world. Still, fantasy worlds are one thing, but who'd have thought that alternate Japans exist too? Well, there's still the possibility that we came from the same world but different eras, but with so many inconsistencies it seems less and less likely. Being gathered here together like this was strange, really strange. That said, the fact that we were all otaku probably didn't mean anything. Based on the way things have been going, I'd wager we all ended up here under different circumstances too. That seems likely. I can't say I'm really interested in small talk, but I suppose we should at least consolidate our information. Ren started telling his story. From the way he was talking, he clearly wanted us to think he was cool. I was on my way home from school when I stumbled upon a murder in progress. I remember that up to the point I tackled the murder to help my childhood friend, but after that, he kept absentmindedly rubbing his side as he told his story. Personally, I thought it was pretty cliched, but I resisted the urge to chime in with a snarky comment. From the looks of things, he probably did bring down the murder, but got stabbed in the side during the scuffle. Normally, I would file away from him as untrustworthy for brazenly lying about what he remembered just to make himself look better, but since he was a fellow hero, I decided to let it slide. Anyway, before I knew it, I was here. So you saved your childhood friend, huh? That's pretty awesome. He laughed off my compliment with an affected air of coolness, but that was fine. I'll go next. Motoyasu lightheartedly gestured toward himself. Before I came here, I made a lot of girlfriends, you know? I figured as much. His reliable older brother shtick must have been like catnip to girls. And so, because of that, you were two or three timing them and got stabbed, right? Ren's question was obviously sarcastic. However, Motoyasu blinked his eyes in surprise and nodded. Women are scary. Goddamn. My anger boiled over and I flipped him the bird behind his back. What a bastard. I seriously wanted him to drop dead. But wait. Wasn't dying the reason he was summoned here in the first place? I didn't have time to ponder it, though, since Itsuki was already talking, hand clasped to his chest. As for me, I was crossing the street on my way home from cram school when a dump truck came barreling around the curve at full speed. After that... In all likelihood, he had been run over by the truck. What a terrible way to die. Hey, wait a minute, wasn't my story a little out of place here? Do I absolutely positively have to tell mine? Of course, everybody else did after all. Oh, right. Well, if you insist, I was at the library when I noticed a strange book I had never seen before. Naturally, I picked it up and started reading it, and before I knew it, I was here. Their stares were icy. What, did I need to have a tragic history to be accepted or something? The others started whispering to each other just out of earshot. But that guy, Shield, of course, right? Yeah. I couldn't quite make out everything, but I got the feeling they were looking down on me. I needed to change the topic, and quick. So, everybody, seems like you're already familiar with this world's systems. Yep, that's right, more or less. Damn, I was the only novice here. This totally sucked. I see. Then, do you think you could give me some pointers? Since my world is the only one that didn't have a game like this. For some reason, their reaction to my question was split. Ren glared at me while Motoyasu and Itsuki were smiling. Don't worry, your good buddy Motoyasu is here to tell you how it is. Motoyasu walked up. I'm like always worried I'm saying his name wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Motoyasu walked up to me and draped his arm across my shoulders. Something about the look in his face was really suspicious. See, there's a class in Emerald Online called the Shielder that, surprise surprise, uses shields as its main weapon. Okay. At first, the high defense is really nice, but as you progress through the game, it starts to get overwhelmed by the ridiculous amount of damage the enemies can dish out. Okay. In short, at high levels, it's a loser class that absolutely nobody uses. No! I didn't want to hear that. I mean, what the hell? He was basically calling me a born loser. Wasn't it ever fixed in an update? Surely they must have balanced it at some point. Nah, it was terrible and barely anybody played it, so they never bothered. Last I heard, they had decided to just get rid of it altogether. Wasn't there any class advancement? Sure, but the whole line sucked. What about class switching? Sorry, it wasn't that kind of game. Geez, if all of this was true, I had been stuck with a tough class. I looked down at my shield gloomily. Did it really hold such a dismal future? Wait, what about you guys? I turned to Ren and Suki in desperation, but they quickly averted their eyes. Sorry, it's the same in my world too. Yeah, so I really got screwed over? While I was standing there dumbfounded, the others started talking about games amongst themselves. What's the terrain like? The names are different, but otherwise it's essentially the same, which means there's a good chance the monster distributions are the same too. Since each weapon's hunting ground is it's slightly different, we should avoid going to the same areas. Yeah, that's probably the most efficient way to do it. Their eyes were sparkling. I could tell they were thinking something along the lines of, wow, we really hit the jackpot as far as abilities go, didn't we? That's right, they were strong, and I wasn't. But there were still plenty of roads available to me. If I were weak, I just needed to rely on companions. Even somebody like me could get stronger by fighting in a party. What am I worrying about? It's not every day you get a chance to see another world. I'm sure things will work out somehow. I couldn't let everybody's looks of pity get to me. I just needed to trade out this shield for a proper weapon and I'd be good to go. Alright, I can do this. I pumped myself up. Honorable heroes, we have prepared a meal for you. Oh, apparently it was time to eat dinner. We opened the door, and an attendant escorted us to the Knights Corps' dining hall. To the Knight Corps' dining hall. I said Knights Corps. Coors Light. It was like a scene from a fantasy movie. Rows of tables were packed with food, like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Everybody, please help yourselves to whatever you like. Seriously? We have to eat at the same time as the Knights? Ren grumbled under his breath. Yeah, I kind of read that wrong. Seriously? We have to eat at the same time as the Knights? That's kind of, yeah. I couldn't believe he was complaining when they had gone through the trouble of preparing us a feast. What a jackass. No, the attendant shook his head. I just wanted to be a girl. Why are there no girls? After you've had your fill, the food here will be used at your introduction. As I took a closer look at the dining hall, I realized that the boisterous throngs of people filling the room were all cooks. So this was what they called preferential treatment, huh? Apparently they intended to introduce us to the Knights when we finished. Well then, let's eat. And so we indulged in the cuisine of another world. It was a bit bland for my tastes, but there wasn't anything I couldn't eat. Though it was a lot of it was bizarre. There was even one dish that looked like an omelet but tasted exactly like an orange. After we were done, we returned to our room. Do you think they've gotten a bath here? They've got a bath here? It's a medieval setting, so chances are they have outdoor wash tubs. I'm sure they'd prepare one for us if we asked. It's okay, it's just one day after all. That's true. Anyway, I'm tired, and we got a big day tomorrow, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit the hay. The rest of us followed Matsuyasu's lead and went to bed too. That night, I drifted to sleep with a smile on my face. My grand adventure started tomorrow. Morning couldn't get here fast enough. Yay. I'm sure it's annoying you as much as it is me that I have to read all of these voices in the same voice. But I don't like trying to do other voices. So, oh well. I also don't like the whole Asian thing of not saying he said and she said and they said and stuff like that. It gets a little confusing at times because you literally just don't know who's talking, but with enough context it makes sense. Which is also another reason for not deciding on voices for these characters, because I just would have no fucking clue who's saying what. So there you go. Rising of the Shield. Almost said sword. I said short. Rising of the Shield Hero. The shield is the important part. Shouldn't fuck up that word. Rising of the Shield Hero, Volume 1, Chapter 4. Special hiring bonuses. The next morning. After breakfast, we eagerly waited to be summoned by the king, but of course, nothing was going to happen so early in the morning. Judging from the position of the sun, it must have been around 10 o'clock when they finally came to get us. We headed out from the excitement fluttering in our hearts. Also, some otaku knows how to read the position of the sun. Bullshit! Welcome, heroes. Inside the audience chamber, 12 men and women dressed like adventurers had been gathered. There were even a few that looked like honest-to-goodness knights. The king's assistance was really amazing. We bowed in greeting. As promised, we have gathered companions to follow you on your journey. They are all eager to make your acquaintance. This was perfect. There were just enough people here for each of us to get 3 companions with nobody left over. Now, future heroes of this country, choose the one you wish to serve. They get to choose who they're going to follow themselves? That was surprising, but the more I thought about it, the more sense it made. Obviously, they would favor their own citizens over a bunch of strangers. One by one, the adventurers briskly crossed the room and gathered in groups in front of us. As in the final tally, Ren, 5 followers, Motoyasu, 4 followers, Itsuki, 3 followers, me, none at all! Wait a minute, your majesty! What the hell? This was too cruel! The king the king didn't seem quite sure how to respond. To be frank, I never imagined something like this could happen. He isn't very popular, is he? Even the minister threw me under the bus, a shocked expression on his face. Just then, a robed man whispered something to the king. I see, so there was that kind of rumor. Did something happen? Motoyasu delicately tried to break the tension, but it was too late. It felt like I was back in elementary school being excluded by the other kids during gym class all over again. This wasn't the kind of thing that's supposed to happen when you come to another world. Apparently, a rumor has been circulating around the castle that of all heroes, the shield hero is the least acquainted with the ways of our world. What? In legend, it is written that the heroes are all one with a deep understanding of the inner workings of this world. If I'm not mistaken, that does not apply to you. Motoyasu nudged me with his elbow. Guess they were eavesdropping on our conversation last night, huh? Wait, was he talking about the fact that I never played a game like this before? That was the reason nobody wanted to join me? No, more importantly, what was with that bonus legend in the first place? Even if I wasn't informed as the others, I was still a hero, wasn't I? Who cares if the shield sucks in a few shitty games? This wasn't a game, it was reality. Come on, Ren, you've got 5 followers. Can't you spare 1 or 2? Ren's followers, men included, shrank back behind him like frightened children, while Ren simply sighed and scratched his head. Well, I can't say I'm a fan of company. I'll leave behind anybody that doesn't think they can keep up with me. However, even in the face of such cold words from their lord, none of Ren's followers so much as moved a muscle. What about you, Motoyasu? Don't you think this is too cruel? Well... Incidentally, I forgot to mention it earlier, but the ratio of men and women in the adventures gathered for us was heavily weighted towards women. It was quite the mystery. It's not my decision to make. Itsuki seemed genuinely troubled by the situation, but didn't want to reject the companions that had chosen him either. Incidentally, I forgot to mention it earlier, but every single one of Motoyasu's followers was a woman. It seemed he was genetically predispositioned to having women flock to him no matter where he was. I do think it would be best if we had 3 followers... If we each had 3 followers, but forcing them into it against their will would be terrible for morale. Everybody in the room nodded at Itsuki's reasonable words. Then I have to set off on my journey alone? But all I had was a shield. How was I supposed to get any stronger without companions? My lord, I will travel with the shield hero. One of Motoyasu's subordinates raised her hand and volunteered to join my party. Oh, are you sure? Yes. She was a lovely young woman with shoulder-length red hair. Hey, that's the girl in the picture. Anyway, more than that, she was stunning, wasn't she? Her features were a bit childish, but even so, she was only a little shorter than me. Are there any others willing to go to Naofumi's side? Nope. I can almost see the tumbleweeds rolling. Not a single other person showed even the slightest inclination of volunteering. The king breathed a sigh of regret. Very well. Naofumi, from this point on, you are to scout suitable companions on your own and bolster your ranks. Because of these decidedly unique circumstances, I will make a special exception just this once and increase your aid for the month over that of the other heroes. Yes, your majesty. It was a sound judgment. If nobody here wanted anything to do with me, then I just had to go out and find some people that did. Then I shall distribute the funds. At the king's signal, they were presented with 4 heavy, jangling money bags. As promised, mine was slightly larger than the others. I hereby bequeath 800 silver coins to Naofumi and 600 silver coins to the other heroes. Use it to equip yourselves and then begin your journey. Yes! And so, our audience with the king ended. Everybody filed out into the hall and began their self-introductions. Nice to meet you, Shield Hero. My name is Mind Sphere. Let's do our best together, okay? Right. Yeah, you're a pretty good-looking girl. I was grateful to Mind for speaking frankly, without holding anything back. Though I had taken a hit to my self-conscious from the ordeal I just went through, the fact remained that this girl became my companion, and I just had to cherish my companions, because compared to the other heroes, my weapons was essentially useless. Then, shall we go now, Mine? Okay! Mine nodded enthusiastically and fell into a step behind me. The spectacle that greeted us when we crossed the drawbridge from the castle into the town nearly blew me away. Though I had caught a glimpse of it through the window yesterday, seeing it up close really drilled into the fact that I had come to another world. Wooden signboards hung over the stone streets and storefronts, so delicious smells wafted through the air. It was really quite an impression. What should we do now? First, I want to find a shop that sells weapons and armor. We should definitely be able to buy something decent with this much money. Right, since I only had a shield, the first thing I needed was a real weapon. Without that, I would never be able to fight monsters, or anything else for that matter, and catching up to those guys would be next to impossible. On the other hand, they all had weapons that they had to develop from scratch. If I could get a head start out of the gate, then I'd be able to pass them in a flash. In that case, I know of a great little shop I can take you to. You do that for me? Of course, we're partners, aren't we? Mine guided me through the streets with a skip in her step. Then, after about 10 minutes, she suddenly came to a stop. We were in front of a shop with a conspicuously huge sign emblazoned on with nothing but a sword. Here it is. Whoa. Peeking in through the door, I could see that the walls were covered with weapons from floor to ceiling. Without a doubt, this was honest-to-God weapon shop. Not only that, it looked like they also dealt in armor and useful tools for adventurers. Welcome! The shopkeeper bellowed out with a greeting as we entered. His enormous muscular frame was exactly what you'd expect from the owner of a weapon shop. But that was great. It would have been a little disappointed if we had ended up using some sleazy ball of grease. This was really another world, huh? So this is a weapon shop? Ah, a new customer. The fact that you came in means that you must have an eye for quality. Actually, this girl here recommended you. I pointed at Mine, who gave a quick wave to the shopkeeper. Well, thanks for that, missy. Oh, don't worry about it. Your shop is famous around these parts, that's all. You flatter me. Anyway, the strangely dressed fellow is your boyfriend, I presume? That's right, to the people of this world, my clothes must have seemed otherworldly. Anybody judging me by my appearance alone would think I was a total weirdo. You can't tell who he is just by looking? Wait, you don't mean he's a hero? The shopkeeper stared at me for what seemed like an eternity. He doesn't seem very reliable. Hey, if you have something to say, say it. Of course, even if I didn't want to admit it, I probably did look pretty unreliable, but that's why I wanted to get stronger. I'm just saying, if you don't load yourself up with quality equipment, nobody will take you seriously. That's probably true. Hahaha, he was straight shooter, all right. From the looks of you, I'd say you must be the failure of the heroes, right? Urgh, I could feel my cheek twitching. Why did rumors about me seem to spread so fast? Well, whatever. I couldn't let it get me down. I'm the shield hero, Iwatani Naofumi. I'll be getting into a lot of dangerous situations from here on out, so I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of each other. I figured it would be best to introduce myself properly and clear up any misunderstandings. Naofumi, huh? Well, if you're already planning to becoming a repeat customer, then I think we'll get along just fine. Nice to meet you. Geez, this guy was energetic. Hey, mister, don't you have any good equipment on sale? Mine pouted a little and batted her eyes at the shopkeeper. What's your budget? Let's see. Mine looked over and she was appraising my value. I'd say 250 silver coins or thereabouts. 250 of my 800 silver coins? I wondered if she was figuring in the cost of recruiting allies and paying for lodgings. Understood. Wait there a moment. The shopkeeper left the counter and wandered around for a bit before returning with a pile of weapons from various sections of the shop. So, kiddo, do you have any preference for any particular weapons type? Not really. I've never actually held a real weapon before in my life. In that case, I'd recommend a sword made for novices. He lined up a selection of swords on the counter in front of me. All these come with a coating of blood clean already applied. Blood clean? It's a special coating that makes blood and gore slide right off the blade to preserve cutting ability. Whoa. Now that he mentioned it, I was pretty sure I'd heard something in my world about blades wearing down after being used to cut meat a lot. So then, basically he was saying that all these swords will never go dull? Amazing. From least to most expensive, we've got iron, magic steel, and mithril. You might think they're a bit pricey, but I can guarantee their performance. Interesting. Did the toughness of the weapon vary by material? We've got better weapons in stock, of course, but these are the ones that fit your budget. Normally in console games, the shops in the first town were full of crap items, but there seemed to be an amazing assortment of products here. This world really was like an online game, wasn't it? Wait, no, what was I thinking? This wasn't a game, it was reality. There's perfect sense that a weapon shop in the capital or major city would be well stocked. Maybe the Iron Sword? I gingerly wrapped my fingers around the hilt and picked it up. There was a hefty weight to it, like you'd expect from a weapon. Compared to my shield, it was surprisingly heavy. Would I really be able to fight monsters with this? Crack! Ow! Suddenly, I felt a shock like I had been struck by lightning, and the sword snapped out of my hands. Oh? The shopkeeper and mine were looking back and forth between me and the sword with looks of wonder on their faces. What happened? I bent over and picked up the sword again. It seemed perfectly normal. So then what was that before? Was it just a fluke? Crack! Ouch! What the hell? Was the shopkeeper playing a prank or something? I glared at him, but he shook his head and shrugged. He was clearly just as confused as me. Maybe mine knew what was going on. I couldn't imagine that she was responsible for this, but she was the only other one here. I figured it out already. I'm a smart kid. Didn't it just fly out of your hands on its own? Ridiculous. That was impossible. I stared at my palms in disbelief. As I did, a message appeared in my field of vision. Legendary weapon rule violation. Contact with an unauthorized weapon. Wait, what? I quickly pulled up the help menu and consulted the user's manual. There had to be something in there about... Aha! A hero can't fight with anything other than legendary weapons in his possession. Seriously? I couldn't use anything to fight except my shield? What kind of shitty game was this? Sorry, but apparently this shield is the only weapon that I'm allowed to have. I raised my head and smiled bitterly. Really? Could I have a look at it? Since I couldn't take the shield off, I held out my entire shield arm for the shopkeeper. I felt a bit silly, but there was no way around it. He muttered something under his breath, and the small ball of light flew towards my shield and burst apart. At first glance, it's just a normal small shield, but there's something strange about it. Ah, you can tell? I was painfully aware that it was just a small shield, even my status magic said so. Though it did have the designation Legendary Weapon attached. See this fixed jewel in the center here? I can feel a powerful energy radiating from it. I tried examining it with appraisal magic, but I wasn't able to see much, even though there shouldn't be a type of magic I can't identify. Shopkeeper gazed at me and thoroughly stroked his trademark beard. It really is interesting. Anyway, if weapons are out, then how about some protective gear? Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Let's see, you already have a shield, so there's no need to worry about that, and since there's no point in splitting your budget between weapons and armor anymore, you should be able to afford something pretty nice. The shopkeeper started pointing out various sets of armor on display. Full plate armor restricts your movements, so it's not really suitable for adventuring. I'd say that a nice set of entry-level chainmail is what you need. I walked over to the armor he had recommended and touched my hand to it. The countless chain links jangled and swayed. I wondered what his defensive ability were like. Huh? An icon popped up. Chainmail. Defense up / resist S. Strange. Nothing like that had appeared when I was looking at the swords. Maybe it was because I couldn't equip them. How much does it cost? Mine addressed the shopkeeper. For you, I'll knock it down to 120 silver coins. Do you do buybacks? Well, I guess if you bought it back in good shape, I'd be willing to pay 100 silver coins for it. What's going on? Oh, Shield Hero. I was just asking him how much we could make back on this armor once you outgrow it. Ah, of course, that made sense. Right now, I was only level 1, but as I grew stronger, it stood to reason that I'd be able to equip more powerful equipment as well. This chainmail was just the best thing I could equip at the moment. Okay, I'll take it. Wonderful. I'll even throw in the innerwear for free. The shopkeeper's generosity rendered me speechless. I handed him the 120 silver coins for the chainmail. Would you like to wear it out? Sure. Okay then, right this way. I was guided to a room at the back of the shop where I changed into the innerwear and chainmail. I put my original clothes into a bag that the shopkeeper gave me. Question, how does he put clothes on with the shield attached to his arm? Whatever. It's not much, but you definitely look like a little sturdier now. Thank you. I was pretty sure that it was supposed to be a compliment. Well then, Shield Hero, shall we head out into the field? Yeah. I was in high spirits as I left the shop with mine. I look like a real adventurer now. Afterward, we walked toward the edge of the town and exited through the castle gates. That word always gets me. The guards posted at lookouts acknowledged our presence with a nod, and I greeted them cheerfully in return. This was it. The start of my adventure was finally here. Yay! These chapters are long. Awesome. Nah, it'll be fine. It's great. It's good. It's fun. No, I like this. I like this story. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I mean, I want to see how he reacts to trying to fight shit with just a shield, but that's, you know, that's next chapter. The Rising of the Shield Hero, Volume 1, Chapter 5. I just love how green he is, by the way. I like his outfit. I didn't comment on that ever. Harsh reality of the shield. Outside of the castle gates, grassy plains extended as far as the eye could see. There was a stone road of sorts leading off into the distance, but aside from that, there wasn't so much as a trace of human civilization to be found. The last time I had seen anything like it was when I went on a trip to Hokkaido, but even that paled in comparison to this endless blue sky. This sea of green that stretched all the way to the horizon. The only thing that kept me from running around and frolicking to my heart's content was the knowledge that if anybody saw me doing it, my stock as a hero would plummet even further than it already had. Just a minute, Shield Hero. This area is home to many weak monsters. We should use this as an opportunity to warm up before things get tougher. Sounds good to me. This is my first time fighting, so let's do our best. Yes, please do your best. Wait, are you saying you're not going to help? I will, but before that, I thought it would be good if we figure out how strong you are on your own. Oh, I guess that makes sense. Thinking about it, mine... You know, I had a thought that it might be Mine. I'm going to wait until someone says something about it, but it might be Mine, but I'm going to say mine anyway. Mine was probably already fairly experienced, which while I had no idea what I was even capable of. If she thought the monsters here were safe for me to start with, I should trust her judgment. We plodded through the plains for a while, until eventually we stumbled across a conspicuously orange balloon-like something. Ah, there's one now. An orange balloon, by the looks of it. Be careful, Shield Hero. It's weak, but extremely aggressive. What was that naming sense? It looked like an orange balloon, so it was called an orange balloon? I almost felt sorry for the thing. Grah! I could practically feel the hostility emanating from its ferocious growls and two vicious little eyes. The instant it noticed my presence, it charged right at me. Good luck, Shield Hero. All right. This was my chance to shine. I steadied my shield with my right hand and brought it down to the orange balloon. Smash! Boing! The spot I hit popped back up as if nothing had happened. It was surprisingly elastic. I had been sure it would burst immediately. The orange balloon snarled and snapped its teeth at me. Whoa! Clang! It made a solid-sounding noise, but I ignored it, even though the orange balloon was gnawing on my arm and it wasn't having any effect at all. It almost felt like a faint barrier was being emitted by my shield and protecting me. I looked at mine without saying anything. You can do it! Could I, though? Sure, I wasn't taking any damage, but I wasn't dealing any either. I needed to change my strategy. I challenged my inner martial arts and pummeled the orange balloon with my fists. Then, after 5 minutes, pop! It's finally split open. I heard a ping, and a message saying I had gained 1 experience appeared. EXP, should I say EXP? Experience, whatever. To fight so hard for 1 measly experience point. It didn't bode well. These guys were way tougher than I thought they'd be. There was a limit to what I could do with my bare hands. Good job, Shield Hero! Mine was clapping, but it seemed a little forced. Just then, I noticed the sound of footsteps somewhere in the distance, slowly growing louder. I turned my head to see what it was, and saw Ren and his followers trotting along at a brisk pace. I briefly considered calling out a greeting, but I didn't have the nerve to disturb people running with such serious expressions. Suddenly, 3 orange balloons appeared in front of them. Slash! Without hesitation, Ren drew an arc with his sword, popping them one after another. He took them all out with 1 strike. Just how high was his attack score? Mine waved her hand in front of my face to snap me out of my daze. Don't worry about it so much. Every hero has their own way of fighting, that's all. Thanks, mine. That's right, I just been used as a chew toy for 5 whole minutes without getting so much as a scratch. It seems my defense score, at least, was actually pretty high. With my spirits rising a bit, I stooped down and picked up the remains of the orange balloon I defeated. As I did, a faint sound began to emanate from my shield. Interesting. I slowly brought the balloon scraps towards my shield. The instant I touched them together, a faint light glimmered, and the orange rubbery material was sucked into the shield's jewel. Orange balloon scraps acquired. I noticed that the weapon book was lit up now. I opened it to see anything had changed, and saw an icon for an orange small shield had appeared. It was still locked, though. Apparently I needed to gather more materials before I could actually use it. Is that the power of the legendary weapons? Yeah, it seems I can fuse certain materials into it to unlock new forms. I see. Incidentally, are those balloon scraps worth anything? You'd be lucky to get a single copper coin for them. And how many copper coins are in a silver coin? 100. Oh, well. I didn't really expect it to sell for much anyway. Anyway, you're up next, right? I suppose I am. 2 more orange balloons had approached us as we were speaking. However, mine drew her blade and struck them down with 2 swift, elegant cuts. That didn't last a second. No way. Even mine? This was my second day as an official hero of another world, and after... I just keep thinking about how stupid this guy is. And after just 5 minutes of battle, I understood my standing perfectly. I finally realized just how weak or rather, this shield really was. Well, first of all, you're fighting a balloon. Anything with anything... It's a sword, so it's sharp, so it can pop the balloon. All he has to do is push with his shield, and his weight is to compress the balloon. Like, has this guy never popped a balloon in his life? Ah, God, whatever. It would probably be best to let mine handle the fighting from now on. Okay, new plan. You attack and I'll defend. Let's see how far we can get. Roger. Mine agreed immediately. Afterward, we walked through the plains until the sun had nearly set, slaying every balloon we encountered. Apparently they came in a variety of colors, since aside from the standard orange balloons, we ended up fighting a few yellow balloons, too. There are stronger monsters up ahead, but we should probably head back to the castle soon before it gets dark. No, but I wanted to keep fighting some more. Since I wasn't taking any damage, defending against the balloon's attacks was really easy. I felt like I could keep going all day. I understand your feelings, Shield Hero, but I was hoping we could visit the weapon shop again before they close. If you buy me better equipment, we will easily be able to progress much further than this tomorrow. I guess I can't argue when you put it like that. But was it really okay to stop here when I was so close to leveling up? I had already fulfilled the material condition for the orange and yellow small shields, so all I had to do now was gain a little bit more experience and I'd actually be able to use them. By the way, I kept collecting balloon scraps even after fulfilling the conditions. They might only be worth a single copper coin each, but hey, money was money. In the end, though, mine got her way and we paused our adventure midway to return to town. Seriously, though, just... weight and the pressure would pop the balloon. If it's literally a balloon, that's it. That's all he's got to do, is to push down on it. Just jump on it, shield straight into the ground. I mean, like, he has to hit the ground himself, but he would pop the balloon underneath of him and he wouldn't take any damage and he would kill the thing. But hey, you know what? It's fine. I really hope this is not a constant theme, or I will get really annoyed when reading this. And that actually could be fun for some people, so. The Rising of the Shield Hero, Volume 1, Chapter 6. No one has corrected me yet, so I'm going to say mine. Mine's Betrayal. By the time we got back to the castle town, it was already evening. We headed straight for the weapon shop. Ah, if it isn't the Shield Kiddo. You know, the other heroes stopped by after you left. So everybody ended up outfitting themselves at the shop, huh? No wonder the shopkeeper looked so pleased with himself. I see. Say, you wouldn't be willing to buy these, would you? I showed him the scraps I had scavenged from the orange balloons we hunted today. That was just waved toward the door indifferently. But he just waved. Whatever. There's a shop around here that specializes in buying and selling materials for monsters. I'm sure they'd be willing to take them off your hands. Thanks. No problem. So, do you need anything else? Yes, I wanted to buy some equipment for my companion here. I looked around the store for mine and found her staring intently at the equipment on display. What's your budget this time? I had 680 silver coins left. What was the best way to spend them? What do you think, mine? Mine was comparing equipment with a serious look on her face and didn't seem to hear me at all. I really needed her input here, though. After all, we were done shopping, but we needed... when we were done shopping, we needed to have enough left over to get us through the rest of the month, but I didn't even know how much lodgings would cost, let alone everything else. Equipment for your companion, huh? Well, it will definitely make her stronger, right? Since I couldn't attack at all, we'd get more bang for our buck by making sure mine was well equipped as possible, or at least that was the idea. It'd probably be expensive though, so why aren't you negotiate a discount? I'm sure you sure say some amusing things, Mr. Hero. 80% off. Are you crazy? 20% increase. You're going in the wrong direction. 79% off. Even double price is too good for some bastard trying to haggle without looking at the wares. 90% off. 21% increase. Stop trying to bump up the price. 100% off. That's just asking for it free. Ah, fine. 5% off. Not enough. 92% off. And so on. Eventually, mine came back to the counter, carrying a lovely set of armor and a sword made out of strangely expensive-looking metal. I'm done shopping, Shield Hero. So what's the total, Pops, including the 60% off, of course? 480 silver coins. 59% off is as low as I'll go. My preemptive haggling had been surprisingly effective at dropping the price, still to be left with just 200 silver coins. Mine, can't you be a little more understanding? I've still got lodging fees and living expenses to think about, you know? It's fine, Shield Hero. If I get stronger, we'll be able to defeat stronger monsters and make back the money by selling their materials, right? Mine pressed her chest to my arm and pleaded with me. Her eyes were sparkling. I guess I didn't say that right. I should have said that seductively or something. Well, if you insist. Come to think of it, those 200 silver coins had been given to me to make up for my lack of followers. The rest was meant to be used on my equipment from the start. Looking at it from that point of view, it was a good chance that the amount of 200 silver coins was chosen specifically because it would be good enough good enough to get me through the month. That said, I'd still feel more comfortable if I leveled up a bit and got a steady source of income before trying to recruit anybody. Okay, guess I'll take these then. Thank you very much. You're a pretty ridiculous hero, you know that? Haha, well, I just really enjoy business, that's all. Oh yeah, he said that, didn't he? In online games, I always enjoyed making money. I had an uncanny ability to buy low, sell high, and play the auctions. And it wasn't like it was easy, mind you. With all the information available at their fingertips, actual humans in games were tough to haggle with. Thank you, Shield Hero. Mine gently kissed my hand in gratitude. Thank you, Shield Hero. Some more like that. Yeah, affection points up. Our journey from tomorrow on was sure to be more enjoyable. At any rate, new equipment in hand, mine and I headed to the town's inn. The rates were 30 copper coins per person per night. We'll take 2 rooms. Not one? Shield Hero. Mine was emitting a silent pressure. I have the feeling that I'd already lost this one. Okay, 2 rooms it is. Right. Thanks for your patronage. The innkeeper rubbed his hands together greedily and told us about the rooms we'd be renting. After having an unreasonable amount of information hammered into my head, we stopped at the tavern next door for dinner. I ordered 2 deluxe specials, which ran 5 copper coins apiece. Which reminds me. Spread out the map I'd purchased on the way back into town and asked mine to help get my bearings. This here is the plane we were fighting in today, right? I was making notes about the area's terrain on the map. For future reference, I might have been better to ask Ren or Modiyasu about it, but judging from the way they were acting yesterday, they probably wouldn't have told me anything. Guys like that would do anything to get a leg up on other people, without a second thought. I wouldn't be surprised if they took advantage of my ignorance to guide me right into the nest of powerful monsters or something. That's why I decided to consult with mine, who seemed knowledgeable enough about this sort of thing. Yes, that's right. And from our conversation earlier, would it be right to thinking that this forest here is the next hunting ground after the plains? The map gave a broad overview of the country's terrain. Basically, there was a vast plain in the castle in the center. From there were roads running toward the forest and the mountains, as well as roads that intersected with rivers and villages. However, since the map was so small, only a few villages near the castle were actually shown. It didn't give any indication of what to expect beyond the forest either, which was problematic. Without knowing where to go and what kind of monsters would be there, it was impossible to progress. Yes, it's not recorded on this map, but your current goal is Ruffin Village, on the other side of the forest. And just past Ruffin is a dungeon well-suited for novice adventurers? A dungeon? Sure, hunting monsters was the basis of online games, but that was aiming too high. I doubt we'll find much of value, but it should be good for increasing your level. If you say so. Don't worry, the monsters there are strong, of course, but with this new equipment, it will be easy victory. Thanks. That was really This was all really helpful. Think nothing of it. By the way, aren't you going to drink any wine? Since this was a tavern, they had brought out alcohol along with the food. However, I hadn't touched it at all. Sorry, I don't really like this stuff. It wasn't like I couldn't handle myself. On the contrary, I had such high tolerance that it was almost impossible for me to get drunk. Oh, great. I just didn't really have any interest in it, that's all. It was possible. How do you have such a high tolerance? You have to build up a tolerance. So he has to have drank a lot in order to have a high tolerance, but he has no interest in it. So why would he drink enough? I really hope I don't have to do this every time. Oh wow, he's actually about to explain himself. There goes me, being an idiot, whatever. Oh gosh, it probably stemmed back to the times I went out drinking with friends in college and had to sit there and watch everybody get drunk off their asses while I stayed stone cold sober. No, never mind. He doesn't want to drink because he didn't drink. And now he stayed sober while they got drunk, even though he doesn't have a high tolerance. Not even just one glass? Seriously, I'd rather not. But, sorry, I see. Mine put down the bottle of wine with a disappointed look on her face. Anyway, I'm glad we were able to talk about our plans for tomorrow, but I think I'm going to go ahead and turn in early. Good night, Shield Hero. I had already finished my meal, so I left the boisterous tavern and returned to my assigned room. Once I was there, I stripped off my chainmail and laid it on the chair. I sat down my pouch of silver coins on the table. This inn required payment in advance, which meant I was already down 199 silver coins and some change. The uneasy feeling that gave me was probably an instinct, so I'd gained from spending so much of a life and totally broke. So, on a lark, I took about 30 silver coins out of the pouch and hid them under my shield. It was a really touristy thing to do, but somehow it made me feel better. A whole lot of things happened today. I knew what it was like to defeat monsters now, even if it was just popping balloons. I'm reading this so weird, I don't know. I laid down on the bed and stared up at the unfamiliar ceiling, thoughts racing. This really was another world. Just like last night, the excited feeling in my chest wouldn't go away. I could feel it. There were only... things were only going to get better from here on out. So what if I didn't have many companions as the other heroes? I had my own path ahead of me. There was no need for me to aim at being the strongest, as long as I did the best I could. My eyes are getting heavy. The joyful racket was coming from the direction of the tavern, and I could almost swear I heard Moriyasu Nitsuki's voice among the noise. Maybe they were staying at this inn tonight, too. I reached out and extinguished the lamp lighting up the room. It was still early, but even so, I quickly drifted off to sleep. Jingle. Huh? A noise. Were those guys in the bar still going at it? It's so hot. Clothes stuck. It was cold. There was sunlight shining on my face, which meant it must be morning. I wiped the sleepiness out of my eyes and I sat up, looked out the window. Apparently I had been more tired than I thought, since the sun was already fairly high in the sky. It was probably about 9 o'clock. At some point I had ended up wearing nothing but my underwear. Did I strip in my sleep? Well, whatever, it didn't matter. Outside, the street was... This guy's so fucking stupid. Outside, the street was bustling with people going about their daily routines. The sight of restaurants and food stalls busily preparing for the lunch rush while carriages clattered along made me feel like I was in a dream. This world was really amazing. Apparently, there were two types of carriages, higher-class horse-drawn ones and lower-class bird-drawn ones. The bird-drawn ones were being pulled by huge ostrich-like things that reminded me of the chocobos. The occasional ox cart rounded out the medieval atmosphere. Well then, time for breakfast. I searched around the bed for the clothes I had apparently taken off last night. Weird, they weren't there. Then the chainmail I put on the chair was nowhere to be found either. On top of that, the sack of silver coins that should have been sitting right there on the table was gone too. Even my original clothes, which I had kept just in case I ever needed them, had up and vanished. What? No way. I'd been robbed? That was totally ridiculous. Does this inn have security at all? Anyway, I had to tell Mine about this. I flung open the door to my room and ran next door. Mine, this is bad. All our money is gone, and my equipment too. But no matter how I desperately knocked, there was no response. I was so preoccupied that I almost didn't notice the heavy footsteps approaching from down the hall. Before I knew it, I had been surrounded by castle knights. Thank goodness! I could see a light shining in the darkness. Once I explained what had happened, they'd definitely catch the guy that had done this. He'd ever regret messing with a hero. He'd regret ever. You guys are from the castle, right? You gotta help me. I earnestly appealed to the knights. Where the hell was Mine? This was serious. Shield hero. Yes? Huh? Their response seemed somehow hostile. You've been ordered to appear before the king. Come with us. Appear before the... Wait, no. First you have to help me. A thief came in last night and... I said, let's go. The knight roughly took hold of my arms and started dragging me down the hall. Hey, stop. Listen to me. What were they doing? I was still in my underwear, for God's sake. Mine! Mine! But the knights ignored my cries, and I was forcibly brought back into the castle in one of the very carriages I had thought were so wondrous just a little earlier. Nobody told me anything. I had no idea what was going on. The only certainty was their eyes that clearly regarded me as a criminal. Well, he just got shafted. Good thing he kept that 30 silver under his shield. Also, I hate that he can't remove his shield, because how does he put on any clothes? How does anybody... I don't know. That's just... That's always going to bother me for the duration of this whole thing, is that I'm never going to really fully understand how he wears or puts on clothes if he always has a shield. I mean, I know it's a small shield, but it's like, it's on his... He can't take it off. He can't drop it. He can't do anything. Like, how's he going to get a shirt through that? Right? Right? Come on. Ah, God. Also, this idiot is not very smart, because he didn't freak out as soon as he noticed he was missing all of his clothes, but whatever. Why am I still talking? Oh, if you noticed a weird break, that's because I had to edit, because there was a train. You might have heard the train. You probably heard the train. There was a train, so I edited around it, but there was a little bit in there, and a little break, so I edited around that, though, because these chapters are way too fucking long to be redoing them every time an interruption happens. Why am I still talking? Rising of the Shield Hero, Volume 1, Chapter 7, False Accusations. Once we arrived at the castle, the knights marched me, still in my underwear, into the royal audience chamber, spears prodding at my back. The king and minister were waiting for me with sullen looks on their faces, and mine! Not only were Ren, Moriyasu, and Itsuki already there, along with all of their followers, but mine as well. However, when I called out to her, she shrank back behind Moriyasu and glared at me. Huh? What's with that reaction? Everybody was looking at me as if I was a villain. You're saying you don't remember? Moriyasu questioned me with a threat of menace in his voice. What the hell was with all this? Don't remember what... Huh? I suddenly realized that Moriyasu was wearing my chainmail. Oh, wait a minute. You're the thief! Who are you to accuse anybody? I never thought you could stoop so low. You fiend? Fiend? What are you talking about? At that, the atmosphere in the audience chamber shifted. I had the distinct feeling that I was in a courtroom. Yes, please state the charges against the shield hero. Charges? What are you talking about? Last night, this shield hero got drunk, burst into my room, and forced me down against my will. Huh? He told me that night was still young and started ripping off my clothes. Mine clung to Moriyasu's back, crying and accusing me through all her sobs. It was so scary. I only barely managed to escape from the room, screaming. Thankfully, Lord Moriyasu was there to help me. Where was this coming from? All I remember doing last night was going to bed earlier and sleeping like a baby. I looked at mine in bewilderment. What are you talking about? After dinner yesterday, all I did was go to my room and sleep. Liar! If that were true, why would Mine be crying like this? Why are you being so protective of her? You barely know her. And while you're at it, explain where you got that chainmail. Didn't they meet for the first time yesterday? Oh, this? I just happened to run into mine while I was drinking alone in the tavern yesterday. We talked for a while, and she gave it to me as a gift. Huh? No matter how I look at it, it was my chainmail. I mean, the chances that mine had bought it with her own money weren't zero, but given that my own chainmail had disappeared right before Moriyasu suddenly got a brand new set for himself, well, anybody would be suspicious. I gave up on talking with Moriyasu and appealed directly to the king. Your Majesty, last night all of my possessions except my shield were stolen away in the night by some thief. I beg of you, please, find out who did it and arrest them. Silence, fiend! The king bluntly denied my proposal. Committing an act of sexual assault on one of my citizens is an unforgivable offense. If you weren't a hero, I would have put you to death on the spot. I'm telling you, it's a misunderstanding. I didn't do anything. However, everybody in the room had already decided that I was guilty. It felt like the world had suddenly dropped out from under me. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? Why did I have to suffer this kind of abuse for something I didn't do? And then it happened. As soon as she was sure that nobody was looking at me, mine's expression changed. A self-satisfied smirk floated across her face, and she stuck her tongue out at me derisively. Everything fell into place. I glared at Moriyasu as a terrible, dark emotion began to well up from the pit of my stomach. You did this! You set this whole thing up! Even I was surprised by the voice that came out of my mouth. Ha! Like anyone would listen to the words of a damned rapist. Moriyasu stepped between me and mine as if telling me to keep my filthy eyes off her, and played himself up as the hero helping the hapless victim. Don't fuck with me. That's what happened, isn't it? You planned all this just to get at my money and equipment. He probably knew that I'd end up buying mine lots of nice things to compensate for my own weakness. His plan must have been to have her squeeze me for everything she could, then skip out with whatever money was left. Then this entire charade was to just take me out of the picture entirely and ensure they never got caught. Fuck, I was almost impressed. Come to think of it, she never once called me by my name, did she? Was that her way of saying this world didn't need more than one hero? Doing something like that to only get to his only ally in another world. What trash. You're right, even I can't bring myself to pity him. Ren and Itsuki didn't hesitate to condemn me either, so they were all in on it from the very beginning, huh? Since I had a shield, since I was weak, since I couldn't fight, they all decided to trample over me for their own benefit. Filth. They were all cowardly filth. None of them had ever believed in me. Well, screw that. Why would I have to protect people like them? This world could burn for all I cared. Fine, whatever. Why don't you just send me back to where I came from? Then you can get yourselves a new shield hero. Another world? Ha! Why would I need to go so far to feel just like this? As soon as things get inconvenient, he runs away. Huh, how disgusting. I agree. Somebody who would throw away their duty and assault a woman is just go. A person like you could never be a hero. I wanted to kill them. Ren, Moriyasu, Itsuki, I wanted to kill them right there. This should have been my chance to enjoy an adventure in another world, and they had ruined it. Well, what are you waiting for? Send me back! However, the king merely folded his arms and frowned. I wish there was a way to send a hero like this back to where he came from. I truly do. However, my researchers have informed me that another summoning is only possible after all 4 of the current heroes have perished. What? That can be. No way. Finally, even the other 3 heroes were at a loss for words. There was no way to return to our original worlds. You're saying we're stuck here? This had to be some kind of joke. You guys can't let me go any time now. I struggled out of the knight's grasp. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Don't even try escaping. In response, one of them punched me. What a nice sound. However, it didn't hurt at all. It seemed like the same couldn't be said for the knight that did it, though, since he was clutching the arm that he used to hit me and grimacing in pain. So, if you can't send me back, what are you going to do with me? I shook the numbness of being restrained out of my arms and addressed the king. Nothing. You exist to fight the wave of calamity, so there will be no official punishment. However, your crime is already well known amongst the citizens. That shall be your punishment. Do not expect to find any work in my kingdom. Oh boy, you sure are generous. In short, he was telling me to raise my level as an adventurer and prepare for the wave. You will return here in a month to fight. Even if you are a criminal, you are still the shield hero. Make no attempt to escape your duty. I get it. I'm weak after all, and time's wasting. That's right. I had totally forgotten about the money hidden in my shield. Hey, this is what you wanted, right? I hurled my last 30 silver coins right in Moriyasu's face. Whoa, what the hell you... Of course, Moriyasu started ranting at me again, but I ignored it. As I left the castle, people pointed in my direction and started whispering amongst themselves. I really couldn't say it was surprising. Rumors here spread quickly, after all. At any rate, my trust and my money both disappeared completely. This was the true miserable start of my adventure in another world. You might notice that it's 2019 that I'm uploading this video. It's also, the anime is out now. And I was looking at the views, because now that the anime is out, the videos are getting more views and all that. And I was looking at the playlist, and apparently Chapter 7 is missing, and I had never noticed it. So I thought, hey, let's record Chapter 7. And here it is. I listened to Chapter 6 a little bit to get a feel for how I did some of the voices, and most of it was just my voice or whatever, so it's probably not super consistent. And I also pronounced her name Mine still, because that's how I did it in Chapter 6. I haven't watched the anime. I don't care to watch the anime. I don't really like this story that much. But it's probably pronounced Mine. At some point during the recording of this, in the 100 or so chapters that I did, I switched to calling her Mine, I think. But anyway, yeah, it's a kind of a fun story. I don't actually, hate it. I just gave up on it eventually, and, it's gonna get more views, and I don't know. Maybe I'll continue it. Maybe I'll go... I should go back to Kumo or whatever. I just recorded this with my phone, again, because the earlier videos were all with my phone anyway. A different phone, but still, I didn't care about digging out the mic and going through all that complicated mess. I just wanted something to upload, to have Chapter 7 up If there are any other chapters that are missing, I'll do those, but I don't think I'll really continue. I don't know. Maybe I will. I did have fun doing this just now, because I always have fun with it. It's just so, I don't know. It's a complicated mess. Maybe I'll go back to it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll start something new. Who knows? Anyway, take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Things are starting to get interesting. The Rising of the Shield Hero, Volume 1, Chapter 8, Disgrace. A week passed. In all that time, I had yet to leave the area directly around the castle. Yo, Shield Brat! Ah! I was walking around half-town, half-naked when the owner of the weapon shop called out. Well, it was true that I had wandered in front of his building, but what business could he possibly have with me? I heard you tried to rape your comrade. I'm gonna hit you now. He walked right up to me in a rage, fists clenched, with no intention of hearing me out first. Even you! It was the same everywhere. Nobody wanted to listen to me. As a foreigner to this world, I might not really know what passes for common sense, but clearly sexually assaulting an unwilling woman was absolutely impermissible. Still, it was strange. Even looking at this old guy prepared to beat me to death, I couldn't see anything but that bitch's face. I clenched my fists and defiantly stood my ground. Ugh, you! What's wrong? Weren't you going to hit me? The shopkeeper relaxed his fists and sighed. I changed my mind. Oh, guess it's my lucky day. No matter how low my attack score was, I was sure I could fight against a normal person well enough. However, hitting people for no reason wouldn't do me any favors. If I had the time to waste on something as unproductive as that, it would be better to go out and make money to fund my future activities. Plus, beating up on some balloons should be enough to make me feel a little better. Wait a minute. What? I had started walking to the castle gates, but the shopkeeper called out again. I turned around. He tossed me a small sack. You look ridiculous like that. Consider this a parting gift. Inside the bag were a slightly stained cloak and some cheap hempen clothes. How much? 5 copper coins. It's on clearance. Understood. I'll be sure to pay you back. I had been worried about wandering around in my underwear, so naturally I accepted his offer. You better come back safe now, since the only thing I believe in is money. Of course. I changed into my new clothes and headed to the plains to hunt balloons. I don't remember exactly how many that was, but that would still took 5 minutes to kill one. The fact that I wouldn't take any damage no matter how much they attacked me meant it was relatively easy work. I ended up spending the entire day fighting them just to take my mind off things and accumulated a fair amount of balloon scraps in the process. Level up! You have reached level 2. Orange small shield and yellow small shield unlocked. I also prepared and investigated various things. By evening, though, I realized I was starving, so I reluctantly returned to town and found my way to the merchant of Delta. As soon as the plump little man behind the counter saw my face, he broke into a broad, silly grin. He was obviously planning to rip me off. There was one person in line in front of me selling various materials. Yes. How does 1 copper coin for 2 pieces sound? The merchant pointed at the balloon scraps on the counter and assessed their value. So the going rate was a copper coin apiece, huh? Please, thank you very much. The other customer left. It was my turn. Hey, I brought some monster materials I want to sell. Of course, welcome, welcome. Did he think I couldn't hear his greedy snicker or something? Ah, yes, balloon scraps, huh? I can offer you, how does 1 copper coin for 10 pieces sound? 1/5 of the value. What kind of ripoff was this? Didn't you just buy the same thing from the last guy for a lot more? Did I? I can't seem to recall. If things kept going like this, he'd probably try to excuse himself by saying, it's just business, or something along those lines. Well then, I grabbed the merchant by his collar and pulled him toward me. What are you... Why don't you buy these guys too? They're much fresher. Chomp! A snarling orange balloon clamped on the merchant's face. Yeah! After letting him thrash around for a bit, I kindly pried the monster off and gave him a kick. How about we drag you to the edge of town and do our business there? I've got plenty more product in stock that I'd love to have you take a look at. I showed off the 5 balloons I had hidden under my cloak. It was something that I had thought of back in the plains. If it didn't hurt no matter how much they bit me, why not let them? Then I could tear them off and stick them on whomever I liked. It was rather brilliant, if I did say so myself, and great for negotiations. After all, since my attack score wasn't very high, it was impossible for me to threaten people directly. Nobody would take me seriously. This guy probably realized that as well, but even so, when I implemented my special tactic, I was able to make a future where he was devoured without a trace by balloons flash before his eyes. I'm not going to force you to hand over all your money or anything, but if you don't at least give me a market price, things could get messy. You can't do this! I wonder, what sort of end do you think is in store for a merchant knowing for ripping off adventurers? That's right. For a merchant like this one, reputation was everything. If he had tried to pull a stunt like this with any other adventurer, he would have gotten walloped for sure, and probably would have lost a customer to boot. Fury burned in his eyes, but finally he relented and slumped his shoulders. Understood. Now, if you agree to drop the lazy strong-arm tactics and become my loyal customer, I'd be willing to accept a little less than market price. To be perfectly frank, I'd really like to reject that offer and never see you again, but still, I suppose the goods you're selling didn't do anything wrong. In the end, the total sore loser merchant bought my balloon scraps for just under market price. Oh, and tell everybody you know about what happened here. I want every merchant in the city to know that messing with means turns into a balloon snack. Right, whatever you want, you son of a bitch. After pocketing my earnings for the day, I went straight to the weapon shop to pay back the shopkeeper for my clothes and cloak. Then got dinner Then got dinner at a cheap restaurant. However, for some reason, everything was completely devoid of flavor. I had thought it was a joke the first time it happened, but it seemed something really was wrong with my sense of taste. As for lodgings, I didn't have any money left, so I just slept in the plains. Since the balloons there couldn't hurt me, it wasn't a problem. Well, I did wake up buried under a pile of balloons the next morning, but it turned out that bursting them apart was actually a pretty relaxing way to start the day. Plus, more dead monsters meant more cash for me. Still, I needed a way to make some money that didn't involve desperately fighting for my life. First things first, I found something to sell besides the scraps from defeated balloons. Medicinal herbs growing in the plains. It was actually pretty easy, all told. I looked for a pharmacy wholesaler in town, memorized what their product looked like, and searched for similar-looking plants out in the wilderness. When I tried picking one, there was a response from my shield, and the herb that just harvested was suddenly sucked up. Leaf shield unlocked. Which reminded me, I hadn't checked the weapon book since I leveled up. I quickly pulled it up to confirm what I had. Small shield. Equip bonus, defense plus 3, mastered. Orange small shield, equip bonus, defense plus 2, unmastered. Yellow small shield, equip bonus, defense plus 2, unmastered. Leaf shield, equip bonus, gathering skill 1, unmastered. Right, time for the help screen again. Weapon transformation and mastery. Weapon transformation refers to your legendary weapon's ability to change form. To activate this transformation, simply hold your hand over it and think the name of the weapon you wish to use. Using weapons increases their mastery, and fully mastered weapons grant permanent bonuses. Equip bonus. Equip bonus refers to special abilities conferred by equipping different weapons. For example, when a weapon with the equip bonus Airstrike Bash is equipped, the skill Airstrike Bash can be used. Likewise, a weapon with the equip bonus Attack plus 3 will have 3 points added onto its attack score. Basically, equipping different weapons let me use the different abilities, and by mastering weapons I could keep using those abilities even when I switched to something else. As for how mastering weapons actually worked, it was probably something along the lines of fight a lot of enemies with the same weapon equipment, right? Really, this world was seeming more and more gamish with every new development. Though I wasn't really excited for the prospect of more fighting, the Leaf Shield's equip bonus piqued my interest. Gathering skill 1, from the sound of it, it was a skill that would apply some sort of bonus when gathering herbs. Right now, I was completely broke. My very survival depended on being able to get the highest quality goods from the least amount of effort. So I switched to the Leaf Shield without even an ounce of hesitation. With a wind-like swooshing sound, the small shield in my arm transformed into a green shield made of vegetation. However, my defense didn't drop at all, probably because the small shield was already so weak to begin with. I decided to test it out by picking one of the herbs growing in front of me. Pluck! It came up easy, with a nice sound. As it did, I could almost swear it shimmered in a faint light. Gathering skill 1. Hello. Hello. I guess that's that word. Quality normal to good. An herb used in medicinal salves. I don't know what a salve is. A window popped up to report the change. Amazingly, it seemed the skill was even more useful than I had imagined. After that, I passed the day wandering around the plains gathering herbs and stuffing them into my bag like it was a job. I couldn't tell you if that was the reason for it, if it was something else, but I managed to master the Leaf Shield almost immediately. I took the opportunity to go ahead and master the other colors in the Small Shield series as well. With that done, I returned to my town to sell my wares. Oh, those are pretty good quality. Where did you get them? From the plains outside town. You couldn't tell? Were there really good of this quality out there? It's a little hard to believe. I chatted with the merchant as he completed the transaction. All in all, I ended up with 1 silver coin and 50 copper coins. A new income record. I decided to get dinner at the tavern with my newfound wealth. While I was eating, various people kept approaching me saying they wanted to become my ally, but not a single one looked even the least bit trustworthy. Ever since that day, nothing has had any taste. Each new bite I took made me painfully aware of the fact. Hey, shield hero, why don't you partner up with me? Somebody called out condescendingly. Honestly, I just wanted to ignore it, but I saw his eyes. He had the same eyes as that bitch. Something inside me snapped. Sure, why not? Shall we go over the terms? Okay. God damn it, I need to calm down. A guy like this, if I left now, he'd just follow me. First of all, wages will be completely piecework. Do you know what that means? Nope. I really wanted to punch his stupid face in. Basically, it's a method for determining how much of our adventuring income you get. For instance, say we earned 100 silver coins. As the leader, I get a minimum of 40% no matter what, with the rest distributed to you based on your performance. If you did all the work, we'll split the money. Whereas if you simply stood by and watched you get... If you simply stood by and watched you get nothing, of course, the actual amount I give you will vary at my discretion. What the hell? Isn't that just saying you're going to monopolize everything? If you do this part, there's no problem, right? Assuming you're up to it. Well, whatever, I accept. Let's go buy equipment now, okay? Go buy it yourself. It's not my job to dress you. Probably the equipment has been his real goal. Once he had that, he's just robbed me and run off somewhere. He really was like that bitch. Oh, fuck it. Just give me all your money. Huh? What's a balloon doing here? Chomp. Oh God, it hurts! The balloon sent to the tavern into an uproar, but that wasn't any of my concern. I plucked my balloon off the noisy idiot, left the money for my meal on the table, and walked out into the night. Where there are no honest people in this world, it seemed like every last one of them just saw other people as they pray to be devoured. At any rate, At any rate, I gathered money like that little by little, and the same events repeating day in and day out. And before I knew it, 2 weeks had passed. Well, at least he knows how to do business, and he knows not to trust people anymore. So, yeah, I still like this. I think he's an idiot with people, but he's not an idiot with money, which is good. So, cool. The Rising of the Shield Hero, Volume 1, Chapter 9, Something Called a Slave. 1, 2, 3... 2 weeks and only 40 silver coins. I gathered a bit more than when I had thrown at that bastard spear hero, it seems. This was all pointless. The places I could go with my attack power was extremely limited, but I did try going into the forest once since I wouldn't take any damage. Was that a red balloon? When I struck it with my bare hands, I received a shock similar to hitting a can. Even after 30 minutes of wailing on it, the monster wasn't getting any closer to dying. I had enough and left the forest. Basically, I couldn't fight any monsters beyond what was found in this grassland. By the way, after 2 weeks, I was now at level 4. Though I don't know how much of those other bastards' heroes have leveled, the red balloon was still relentlessly biting my arm, trying to sever it. Had it already been a week since I went into the forest? Maybe I should give it another shot. Bang! Nope. My attack power was still too low. Since I couldn't deal any damage, I couldn't defeat any monsters. And since I couldn't defeat anything, I received 0 experience points. How did he level? And with 0 experience points, I couldn't raise my attack power. What a detestable loop. How did he level, though? Well, he defeats the yellow ones, so he can't receive any experience from the red one, whatever. From the tavern, I was walking through a back alley which led into the meadows. However, today was a tad different compared to all the other days up until now. Looks like you're facing quite a predicament. Question mark?